Hi everyone, I do hope you're having a good day. I am having a good day myself. I'm about to step out for a walk. But yeah, I just thought I'd touch base with you before I leave the house. I'd like to talk to you today about dealing with darkness, and the darkness in question is difficulty. As we've discussed in previous episodes, darkness is the absence of light. And one of the definitions that I found of difficulty is as follows. It refers to something that hinders you or causes you to have to face challenges or the state or condition of being challenged or having a hard time. Yeah, that's definitely one of the definitions of difficulty. So you're faced with a challenge or you're having to face a hard time. I'll start off with a story. So when I was little, probably about the age of 8 or 9, thereabouts, um, my brothers and my sister wasn't born at the time, so my brothers and I, we we asked our dad for a dog, for a puppy, and we asked and asked and asked, and eventually he bought us one, and we were so happy. We called him Jack Stone after a TV character from a program that we used to watch. I can't remember the name of the program now. And Jack Stone made us very happy indeed. However, our happiness was short lived because in a number of months, it wasn't very long, he died. And my cousin conducted a funeral service for him. We paid our last respects, and we had to let go and bury him. Now, fast forward a couple of years, like to present days, my spiritual mom has now purchased a dog, jet black, just like the one I had as a child, and his name is Milo. However, I do like Milo, but the program on my mind is dogs die. So in my mind, I've sort of put him on the outskirts of my heart because I don't want to get hurt because I've already buried a dog and I was like, dogs die. So that's my program, and that's a difficulty that I'm actually dealing with at the moment because he's ever so cute, so cute. So when faced with a difficulty, it's important that we understand the purpose of that difficulty. Um, there are various reasons why difficulty would come into our lives. One of the purposes of a difficulty is to train us. So it comes to train us. For myself, although I didn't quite know it then, that difficulty that I was facing had come to train me in the area of grief. I think pets are usually quite useful for kids as well to train you on how to grieve and how to let go. But I wasn't aware of that. So difficulties come into our lives to train us. Difficulty comes into our lives to increase our capacity. So it increases our capacity to love, increase our capacity to forgive, increase our capacity to think. There's a book by John Maxwell called Thinking for a Change. And sometimes, as people, sometimes we might just approach life from one track. So maybe you're a positive person and you only think you feel like you should only think about the positive as it relates to a situation. But it's important when you're looking at a situation to look at all possible aspects. So what happens if things go wrong? So that's like bottom line thinking. What would you do if things go wrong? Think about the possibilities of a thing, but also think about the reality of a thing. So when you're faced with a difficulty, it comes to expand your capacity to think. It comes to expand your capacity to love, like I said before. So, where I should be in relation to dogs, if I had taken the lesson incorrectly, is I should be able to love and give of myself, but I'm still working on that. Um, Difficulties come to reveal another version of who you are. So, a stronger version, a wiser version, a more loving version. But it really does depend on how you approach that difficulty and with what mindset you approach that difficulty. So it's important for us to identify the darkness in difficulty. Darkness can arise in difficult when we're faced with difficulties, when we lack understanding, when we're faced with a situation and we don't understand why we're going through that situation, when we feel like it's a waste of our time or it's pointless. Darkness can arise because we don't have the understanding as to why we're facing what we're facing. Darkness can also arise in difficulty when we lack knowledge A prophet once said, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So when we have insufficient knowledge about a situation, um, it gives that situation the power to even become more difficult. Just because a thing is difficult or just because a thing is challenging does not mean that it cannot be overcome. It doesn't mean that there's no solution. It just means it's hard, right? And often the best, the best, the best lessons are often taken from difficult situations, not the easy ones. If life was all easy, there would be no growth, and it almost seems counterproductive because we always want things to be good and lovely and sweet, but we can't have dessert every day. We can't have dessert for 3 meals. If you have 3 meals in a day, you can't have dessert for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Difficulty often comes and it doesn't present as dessert because more often than not we don't like the difficulty. It's not palatable to us. But when you're faced with a difficulty, it's actually come to make you a better person. It's come to grow you as an individual, if you have the right skills to actually face that difficulty. Darkness can arise in difficulty when we lack wise counsel. Now, when we receive wrong counsel or no counsel, that can make a difficulty. That can extend the duration of a difficulty and intensify our suffering. So it's important that when we're faced with a difficulty, we obtain wise counsel. So I've just moved on ahead of myself. So how to deal with difficulty? First, adopt a winner's attitude. Understand that if you're faced with a difficulty, you have everything that you need. Although you might not necessarily see it, you have everything that you need within yourself to actually overcome and to thrive. You have everything that you need to overcome and to thrive. Be aware that if you're facing that difficulty, it's come to teach you a lesson. So the question you should ask is, what has this come to teach me? So adopting that winner's attitude makes it possible for you to, it positions you for you to actually win. So it's your mindset. You're facing this difficulty. It's hard. It's challenging, and you might be looking at yourself and thinking, I don't have what it takes to actually move this thing or to overcome the situation. But just having a winner's attitude to start off with, you're already on the right path to actually overcoming whatever it is, whatever challenge you're facing. Next, identify areas of ignorance. It's okay to be ignorant in a subject matter because we can't know everything, but it's not acceptable to stay ignorant, particularly if you need that information to actually improve your circumstance. So identify areas of ignorance, identify areas where you need to get more information, identify areas where you need to learn more. Maybe you need to speak to more people on a particular subject matter. And then seek out wisdom. Seek out wisdom in areas where you are faced with difficulty. It could be in areas of health. It could be in areas of finance. It could be in areas of relationships. Seek out information from correct people. So just because a person is a physician and an excellent doctor does not mean that they are qualified to advise you in areas of finance or in relationships. So understand that every person has their limitations. So if you're going to seek out counsel in the area in which you need the help. So if you're faced with a financial situation, go to someone who's good with finances. If you're faced with a relational situation, go to somebody who's good with relationships, and you want to see that evidence in their lives as well, because then you know that they are not just they're not just saying these things, they're actually practicing it. Having said that, what I have noticed is just because somebody might not actually have evidence they might not have evidence, but they're giving you counsel in a particular area, that counsel could still work for you. So when you go to a doctor and he gives you pills or tells you what to do as it maybe relates to a particular sickness like diabetes or cancer or whatever, it doesn't mean that he's had cancer or he's had diabetes. He's just done the training and he has the information. So sometimes someone can give you good counsel in a particular subject matter. So it could be relationships, it could be finances. They might not necessarily be a wealthy person, but they just have the information, because essentially sometimes people get the information, but they don't actually put the information into practice. So you can actually get that information, assess it. So that's where thinking comes into place. Assess the information and see, okay, how will this actually help me? So just looking, if you just narrow your perspective to looking to see if they have evidence in their own lives, you might actually miss out on good advice. So obtain counts from different people depending on what it is you're facing, and then look at ways that you can actually apply and implement what you've been told. Sometimes you might need to make amendments, sometimes you need to make minor adjustments to suit your situation, but I think when you take action, that's when you start to see results. Yeah. So remember, when you're faced with a difficulty, it's come to make you a better person. It's come to teach you something. It's not come to kill you. It's come to take you to a higher dimension of who you are and to introduce you to a better version of who you are. Those are my tips for today. Please feel free to share this with whomever you think needs to hear it. Until next time, stay positive and stay safe. Take it easy. Bye.